In what some consider a remarkable gesture, the Prime Minister has decided to spend Diwali in Srinagar. Others, however, have been more sceptical, wondering whether Eid would have been a better occasion or whether this is motivated by the looming elections. So tonight we ask, is this scepticism justified, or is the Prime Minister setting a commendable example that others should follow? That's the subject in part 2. But first, as the BJP struggles to decide whether it will seek support from the NCP or Shiv Sena, is the party torn between alliances of political convenience and those of ideological commitment? And what lies behind the rival claims by Nitin Gadkari and Devendra Fadnavis for the chief ministership of Maharashtra? Is this just normal politics, or could it be something more? That's the first discussion tonight. And now joining me to discuss the many issues confronting the BJP's government formation in Maharashtra are BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra and three of the best informed journalists in Mumbai. They are Kumar Ketkar, Siddharth Bhatia and Smriti Kopikar. Kumar Ketkar, the BJP is struggling to choose between support from the Shiv Sena and support from the NCP. Am I right in saying that this could be characterized as a choice between an alliance based at least partly on conviction versus an alliance based almost wholly on political convenience?
Well, actually speaking, they are not struggling at all. BJP is absolutely confident despite the number went far below expectation. They are confident that the government will go through because NCP will not allow the government to fall and Shiv Sena also will not allow government to fall, and therefore they are confident the government will go through without the numbers in majority. So NCP is actually struggling, not BJP. NCP is struggling to have alliance with the BJP, but it looks too bad for them to directly join the government, directly participate in the government. Okay. So they are saying we'll support from outside. It is obviously because...
Let me remove the word struggle and let me rephrase the question. Would you say that the choice the BJP has between NCP and Shiv Sena can be characterized as a choice between an alliance of convenience and an alliance of conviction?
Actually, both are alliances of convenience, and the modern term for opportunism is pragmatism, and in that sense, Shiv Sena, actually BJP doesn't like Shiv Sena as well. Okay. But NCP they can do business with because NCP has all kinds of businesses in which even partly some BJP members were involved, notwithstanding the Chitra committee report. So I think BJP wants to deal with NCP and NCP wants to deal with BJP for purely so-called economic and scam-related economic reasons. Okay. And Shiv Sena they want to have tie-up with because Shiv Sena in opposition could be a problem because Shiv Sena can be a troubled party.
Smriti Kopikar, after calling the NCP a naturally corrupt party and after repeatedly promising during the campaign that there was no question of the BJP allying with NCP, the party today is actively considering the possibility of forming a minority government with NCP's unconditional support from the outside. Would you say that this amounts to a virtual U-turn in the position the BJP took during the campaign?
Karan, if the BJP was actually considering taking the NCP support or NCP on board, we could call it a U-turn. But I think from day one, it's the NCP that's wanted to be part of this government, or from the inside, outside, or outside, or whatever those permutations are. So I still don't think it's a U-turn for the BJP. And increasingly, there is this sense that the BJP has used the NCP, or the NCP has allowed itself to be used in this manner so that the BJP and the Sena could, drive a tougher and a harder bargain with the Shiv Sena, which is exactly what we are seeing happen. Okay. And the latest information I have, Karan, is that some sort of a deal seems to have been worked out, and the Sena is going to be content with handful of ministries and is thinking that they might still go ahead without having the deputy chief minister's post. If this deal comes true, then the bargain, NCP as a bargaining tool, that line works itself out, doesn't it?
Absolutely, except that we're not sure is that you're only going on what sources have said. There are sources in Delhi that are actually Siddharth Bhatia saying almost the opposite. You could get people in Delhi to tell you that the BJP is leaning towards the NCP rather than the Shiv Sena. So let me put this to you, Siddharth. The BJP does share many points of conviction with Shiv Sena, a belief in Hindutva, the Ram Mandir, abrogation of Article 370, a uniform civil code. Now, if all of that becomes secondary first to the need to become the biggest party in Maharashtra, and then thereafter it becomes secondary to the desire not to make concessions to whoever becomes your ally, would you say there's a real sense in which politics is trumping conviction as far as the BJP is concerned?
But in fact, Karan, I might take your very argument and look at it from a slightly different angle. If both of them are exactly the same, and the BJP now finds itself into a situation where it needs some support, but it doesn't need that much support, why should it encourage the Shiv Sena to become a kind of another BJP, as it were, and give them a platform to continue with those same Hindutva policies? So, there are meeting points, yes. There are complementarities also, but there are too many similarities, so they may not want to encourage that. Secondly, don't forget the Shiv Sena has got some local influence. The BJP didn't have, and now has grown much more in stature. So the BJP will want to say, let us occupy the Sena's ground also. Because there's sufficient, I think, empirical evidence that a lot of the Sena's younger element, Maharashtrians, who may have earlier, their parents may have gone to the Shiv Sena, are now moving towards the BJP and Narendra Modi's growth, development platform, etc. They will say, let us grow on our own steam. I mean, this is one scenario. And let the Shiv Sena kind of go into and become a very tiny niche party. I think, just to let me complete this argument, I think being similar is an argument to not really embrace them beyond a point.
I want to put that rather clever argument, which is very much the opposite of the conventional arguments being discussed to Sambit Patra. What you're hearing, Sambit, from Siddharth Bhatia is that, in fact, NCP's offer of support gives the BJP an opportunity to turn its back on Shiv Sena, because here, the fact that they have similarities in conviction is something the BJP now doesn't want to encourage, because it doesn't want Shiv Sena to grow. Therefore, NCP has given the BJP an opportunity to shun Shiv Sena in the hope that Shiv Sena will shrink as a result. So far from being convenience versus conviction, this is in fact both conviction and convenience converging in clever strategy.
Karan, I'm really surprised by the number of conspiracy theories that have been put today over here in the debate. I'm not going to buy any of these conspiracy theories. Rather, I'm going to put the things very simply. Being a structured political party, Bharatiya Janata Party's highest decision-making body, that is the parliamentary board, has appointed two observers, Rajnath Singh ji and JP Nadda ji. Both of them would be going to Maharashtra. They would be taking stock of the situation, will have a meeting with the Legislative Assembly members, will select a leader from them, and thereafter we will take a call as to how we would move ahead with forming the government. And till then, I believe, let's put all these conspiracy theories to rest. But by and large...
No. What you're actually doing is not saying till then put the theories to rest. You're actually suggesting till then there's very good reason for conspiracy theories to flourish. Because till you've decided who your leader is, you won't decide who your alliance partner will be. And therefore, for the next 4 days, speculation on both counts will proliferate. So you're not scotching rumors. You're actually providing ground for them to proliferate.
No, but definitely, Karan, you would agree to the fact that something so important as to whom we align with, how we form a government, definitely needs time. If we are to evolve maturely on the issue of formation of government in Maharashtra, which really needs a stable government, we have to delve over the matters and we have to be really mature in dealing with it.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason as to why I feel...
You know, your very clever answer is once again underlining the point I'm making. You have to delve over matters. You need time to use the phrase because you need time to decide which alliance you want.
No, not decide on which alliance.
Or conviction.
Definitely not deciding whom to align with. That is only possible when our observers go to Maharashtra, have a meeting there and thereafter proceed.
Okay.
But it's but natural in a political scenario. We should discuss. We should be deciding only after discussion. So what's
you're repeating yourself. You're repeating yourself. Kumar Ketkar, we're talking about this trade-off between convenience and conviction. Convenience is always seen as opportunism of some sort, and therefore it's seen in a negative light. Let me put an argument to you whereby, in fact, what looks like convenience could actually become good, sound strategy. And this is how it goes. At the end of the day, Mr. Modi knows that even if he doesn't ally with Shiv Sena, they're not going to oppose anything he does in the Vidhan Sabha. Therefore, effectively, Mr. Modi will end up with some 226 MLAs in the Vidhan Sabha supporting him, which is pretty close to 78% of that House's strength. Isn't that the point at which convenience actually becomes good, clever strategy as well? Because he can assure himself of that by running a minority government.
Well, actually, conviction is out of the window. So let us not discuss conviction at all. Convenience clearly means that Sharad Pawar's convenience and Uddhav Thacker's convenience and of course BJP's convenience, and there is no conspiracy, there is no conspiracy theory. This is simple arithmetic and arithmetical politics that is going on, and the fact of the matter is that NCP wants a clear signal that no cases will be pursued, and Shiv Sena wants that it is associated with the government after fighting and breaking only 2 weeks before.
Okay.
So Shiv Sena wants to be associated because Shiv Sena wants to show to its cadre that, well, we are in power after 15 years. And otherwise we would be completely out of power for another 5 years. That would be 20 years. So they want to be in power because the benefits of power that Shiv Sena has actually enjoyed between 95 and 99, they want to enjoy again. So Shiv Sena needs power even if it comes to with few ministries, as Smriti said. So they will accept it.
Okay,
on the
so
other hand, NCP may not want to be ministers. NCP wants only a kind of association with power so that they get clear signals to pursue
They
their
need an insurance
scams
policy.
and all the projects.
And
so this is very
insurance
simple.
policy
It is
against
only
being
convenience
persecuted
and no
or
conviction at all.
All right. Let me put it like this, Smriti Kopakar. How will what many regard as a virtual U-turn by the BJP, if it accepts outside NCP support and forms a minority government on that basis, how will that be viewed by Maharashtra's electorate? Will they grin and say to themselves, well, that's politicians for you? Or will they feel let down because they will feel, in a sense, betrayed by a party they put their faith in and in which they had great hopes? Which of the two do you think it will be? Smriti?
Hello?
Did you hear me, Smriti? Can you hear me?
I couldn't, no, I lost a part of that question.
Okay, I'll repeat it. I'm simply asking, if the BJP ends up forming a minority government with outside support from the NCP, how will the electorate in Maharashtra view it? Will they grin and say this is politics? Or will they, in a sense, feel let down by a party in whom and in which they had put great faith?
I think there will be a large section that feels let down. Especially because Mr. Narendra Modi went to Baramati and called the Pawars all kinds of names and all of that. And of course his description as the naturally corrupt party. But I'm still not convinced that the BJP is actually going to take any kind of support from the NCP. I think what both of them, at least a section of the BJP and the NCP want, is to be on friendly turf. That, I'm not going to attack you, you don't come after me, that kind of some sort of a friendly understanding. I'm not really your opposition. So I'm not convinced that the BJP is actually going to join hands with the NCP because that could be disastrous for them in the long term.
Even I'm not suggesting it. I'm simply talking about forming a minority government supported by outside unconditional support from the NCP, which is a perfectly feasible option for them. I'm simply saying if they were to opt for that option, will people in Maharashtra who voted for the BJP feel let down?
A section of them certainly will feel let down, yes.
Okay.
And the BJP would not have acquitted itself with any honor.
Let's then come, Siddharth Bhatia, to the second issue, which probably constitutes and requires a potential difficult decision from Mr. Modi. And the issue is, who should be the Chief Minister of Maharashtra? Till yesterday, the conventional wisdom was that the front runner was Devendra Fadnavis. You even heard Arun Jaitley in interviews acknowledging it without committing himself to supporting the man. Now, Gadkari supporting MLAs are demanding vociferously that Mr. Gadkari should be Chief Minister. So to begin with, what do you make of this changing situation?
If you recall right from even before the elections and certainly after it, Mr. Gadkari has said only one thing. I am very happy in Delhi. I do not want to go. Occasionally, he lets it be known that if asked or if told, he will come here gladly. But otherwise, he is very, very clear that he wouldn't come. That should have put an end to the matter. Now you have a situation where 39 people, MLAs, by the way, many of them first-timers, 28 of them, I think, first-timers who owe allegiance in one way or the other to Mr. Gadkari because he supported some of them, have turned around and suddenly said, oh, we want Mr. Gadkari as a chief minister. This really clears the pitch. Firstly, it says the following, that it's not a done deal and that Mr. Gadkari is still in the game. Secondly, it's a bit of saber rattling for Mr. Gadkari to say, don't think that I'm a nobody. I was the BJP president. I still represent a very sizable section of MLAs because 39 out of 123 is quite a lot, big number. And thirdly, is I personally think, and I'm sure my colleagues here will also be able to enlighten us on that, Gadkari was Mr. Fadnavis's patron. I mean, Fadnavis is Gadkari's protege in a manner of speaking. So he's also maybe saber-rattling and signaling to say that, look, you will be the chief minister perhaps in the end, but I'm the big brother who's still around. So I think Mr. Gadkari has kept himself relevant in the game. He probably will not become the chief minister due to several other reasons. But it's certainly shown us that all is not well in the BJP camp.
Samit Patra, let's pick up on a few of those critical points made there by Siddharth Bhatia. And the one I want to put to you is this. 39 out of 44 Vidarbha MLAs have openly called for Gadkari to be chief minister. That figure, by the way, is nearly 32% of your Vidhan Sabha strength of 123 MLAs. Can such a sizable number be easily ignored?
Karan, I have a very important take on this. I mean, though, let me begin with a caveat saying that we have no race for chief ministership and the ultimate decision is always taken by the parliamentary board by a democratic way. But let me put the interesting thing. Siddharth Bhatia ended his statement saying that all is not well within the BJP because there are multiple people who are vying for the post of chief ministership. I have a very different take on it. I believe in a democratic setup and in a democratic party, multiplicity of a name for a top post is a healthy sign, not a sign of being
Can I point
ill.
out the contradiction in your argument?
No.
The contradiction is this. You're proud of multiple candidates because it proves healthy democracy, and that part I agree with. But who will take the decision? Not the MLAs, not an election, which is the democratic thing to do, but the parliamentary board. And the parliamentary board will actually be simply rubber stamping a decision taken by Mr. Modi. So this is Indira Gandhi all over again.
Not at all, not at all. You have to understand the technicality, which I have to repeat once again. I have been speaking that from the very beginning, that the parliamentary board has entrusted 2 observers to Maharashtra. They would be going and having a meeting with the Vidhayak Mandal, that is the MLAs. A meeting means a democratic election, a process of democratic election of leadership. That is by the voice.
You actually have a proper election?
No, what is proper election? It's a meeting.
Proper election is where people vote.
Yes,
a proper election is where people vote between rival candidates.
It's a meeting in which the MLAs put forth the name after due deliberations.
All right.
And it is the name which crops up in the meeting which is selected.
Quite right. What you're talking about is not an election but a sounding. So let's leave it at that. Kumar Ketkar, although Mr. Gadkari keeps saying he's happy in Delhi and wants to stay in the capital, can there be any doubt that this display of support deliberately done the day he reached Nagpur, hours after his arrival, clearly was done with his approval? Can there be any doubt of that?
Well, actually, they are just following the script always written and implemented by Congress party. Like when there was a crisis, Antony and Pranab Mukherjee had come to sort out who will be the chief minister. Exactly like 2 chaps have been sent here by the BJP to decide who will be the chief minister. There will be no direct voting. These 2 people will take the sound bites privately, and those sound bites will be taken as notes and communicated to parliamentary board. Parliamentary board will decide, means actually Narendra Modi himself will decide.
Absolutely.
So this is exactly what Congress has been doing.
But
the same script, but there is a difference.
Can I ask you a different question, which is this?
Yeah, but there is a difference.
Do you believe that that display of support for Gadkari, hours after he reached Nagpur, by MLAs from Vidarbha, was done with his approval and possibly done with his behind-scenes engineering? Can there be any doubt of that?
No, I don't doubt it at all. Obviously, it is being done, and as Siddharth very correctly said, he wants to show that he is in the field. And he is in the field for various reasons, because he has the best of equations with Sharad Pawar. Sharad Pawar and Nitin Gadkari have participated in common programs, have shared the platform so many times, and Sharad Pawar has said there are no untouchables. That's why I'm sharing platform with Nitin Gadkari. Nitin Gadkari said that Sharad Pawar is a tall leader in Maharashtra and he wants to imitate his abilities. So Sharad Pawar and Gadkari are perfectly in tandem. Okay. And Shiva Sena, they cannot want to keep in opposition because Shiva Sena can be nuisance in opposition. Shiva Sena is used to what we call in Marathi Rada politics, the riot politics, the street politics, and that BJP doesn't want Shiv Sena to be in opposition to carry on with the street fightings.
Smriti Kopikar, how do you think Mr. Modi will view this development? Will he see it simply as understandable politics, as Sambit Patra was trying to suggest, a good, healthy competition which should happen in any democratic party? Or will he view it as some form of insubordination by a cabinet minister who he thought was in line? Or might he even see this as incipient revolt?
I don't think Gadkari wanted to revolt, and Mr. Modi is in the happy position of being amused by all of these things and yet being able to take his own decision the way he wants to. You asked a question earlier about whether this could have been orchestrated. It seems orchestrated because just this evening, three of those group of MLAs offered to resign their seats so that Mr. Gadkari could be elected to the Vidhan Sabha. So it's going half a step to push Gadkari into the top job. But there's also another angle to this. It's not just about the race between Mr. Gadkari and Mr. Fadnavis. I think there is a large element of Mr. Gadkari trying to send a signal out to his top brass, high command, quote unquote high command, if you will. That,
you mean Mr. Modi, don't you?
That he can be an independent center of power. Also a man with deep connections
Precisely
to the
why I asked you my original question. Will Mr. Modi like this? Mr. Modi likes being unchallenged and likes being a supremo. Suddenly here's Mr. Gadkari trying to tell him that, look, I can be an independent center of power myself. How will the Prime Minister view a cabinet minister standing up in this fashion to the Prime Minister?
I think at the moment it seems like he will be amused because he is in control of the situation. It's not as if Gadkari can run away with this script. I think Mr. Modi is completely in control of the situation and might seem, okay, you know, you can show me how strong you are, flex your muscles, but I'm going to get my way eventually. That's what it seems like at the moment.
Siddharth Bhatia, like Gadkari, Devendra Fadnavis is also a Vidarbha MLA. But if 39 out of his fellow Vidarbha MLA legislators turn against him, does it not become a little difficult for the party, even if Mr. Modi fully supports Fadnavis, to make him Chief Minister?
Well, I personally think, I'm just connecting the dots that Mr. Fadnavis will make it in the end. But he'll always be aware and perhaps a little also inhibited by the fact that a very powerful politician from his part of the state is, has got 39 people, 3 of them who offered to resign, and that's a pretty drastic step. He could wonder whether any of these people can be trusted, can be installed in various powerful positions. So yes, I think it leaves room open for a future kind of. It may not be a crisis ever, because I think the party is that way managed and controlled quite well. But it might just be, as Kumar said, it just might be one of those old Congress dissident situations. Something that the BJP has proclaimed that it never suffers from, that you always have some dissidents going on in the background, and there is a ginger group or there's some kind of pressure group which constantly is there to warn you that you are not a completely free man. So you have the blessings of Delhi. Mr. Modi likes you, Mr. Amit Shah likes you, but you have to contend with this very sizable group of people who may be ready to undercut you at some stage.
Sambit Patra, how do you think Mr. Modi will respond to Smriti Kopikar's analysis, and one honestly that Siddharth Bhatia also seems to share, that Mr. Gadkari is showing to the Prime Minister that he can be an independent center of power in Maharashtra?
No,
that is not something this Prime Minister is reputed to like seeing. So how do you think he's going to respond to one of his cabinet ministers trying to show him up in that way?
Karan, let's get one thing very clear. The thing is, a divided party can never win elections. A divided party at the end of the day burns its own house. And the kind of mandate Bharatiya Janata Party has got in Maharashtra, after 25 years, any major political party has got more than 100 seats. It only points to the fact that Bharatiya Janata Party in Maharashtra is a united face. All we may try to show that, okay, there is a race going on for chief minister, which is not going.
United in winning elections, not united in choosing a chief minister. That's a different issue. I'm talking about the fight for chief ministership. Will Mr. Modi be happy with a cabinet minister, as Smriti Kopikar put it, trying to show the Prime Minister he can be an independent center of power in Maharashtra? That looks like a challenge to the Prime Minister, not healthy democracy.
No,
when seen through Mr. Modi's eyes.
With all due respect to Smriti ji, it may be a view of Smriti ji, but that is not true. No one is trying to prove anything over here. Everyone has already proved it.
What
Mr. Gadkari has proved what he is
doing, but sending a message to Mr. Modi that they want one man, not another. After all, yesterday in an interview, Arun Jaitley more or less made it clear that the front runner was Devendra Fadnavis. Although he wasn't committing Fadnavis to becoming chief minister, he made it crystal clear. Now, hours later, 39 MLAs go public to say that they want someone else. That looks like not just a challenge, but the beginnings of dissent, as Siddharth Bhatia put it, possibly an incipient revolt, as I'm putting it.
No. Don't select such words as revolts and dissent and all. It is all in unison in the family. And our party does not have the kind of Das Janpath address kind of diktat that takes place in Congress. It's but natural that people can air their views in a democratic way. What's wrong if people go and meet their leader? He is a member of parliament from Vidarbha. If his MLAs go and meet their leader, what's wrong in it? But they all are united, and has not Mr. Gadkari umpteen number of times on all the channels said that he does not want to be the CM? No, all I maintain is we have a procedure. We have not met once. We have to decide as to who would be the chief of the MLAs. So why are we jumping lines and concluding that there is any kind of race? There is no
Diwali
kind of race.
Eve. Let's end this particular discussion on a note of amicability rather than acrimony and animosity between us. I'll bow to your argument and accept it for just tonight. Although I warn you, there's a good possibility 2 days from now you'll discover my doubts were right and your sense of sanguineness was wrong. But for tonight, because it's Diwali Eve, I'll accept your argument. My thanks to all three of my guests for joining me, as well as Sambit Patra, and my apologies that we couldn't get that OB line to Siddharth Bhatia. I'm afraid we had a little bit of trouble.